think in today's competitive market, brands looking to achieve significant growth cannot overlook the immense value of engaging with the chef and restaurant communities that they work with. Building a community around your brand is the goal of most brands in the world. And in gastronomy, we have some great examples of this happening. And that's what our next talk is focused on. It's the secrets of nurturing a community to grow a brand. And how do you do that? What are the examples of that? And what are the benefits of building that community? So joining us in this conversation, we have three speakers, three experts who have all in their own way grown really strong, really established culinary communities around their brands in unique and innovative ways. Please welcome to the stage Pablo Rivero from Resy. Jenny Goodman from Tilit. Big support for Tilit there. And Albert Sansalvador from Estrella Damm. Please. Thank you all for joining us today. Coming far and some not so far, but really great to have such big brands, big speakers, big thinkers to talk about this. I think let's start by you spending a couple of minutes to introduce yourself, introduce your brand, and then also speak a little bit about the importance of community for your individual brand.
Well, thanks for having me. Pablo Rivero, I'm the CEO of Resy. Resy is a technology platform that supports table management and reservation systems. Started 10 years ago, and it was acquired by American Express in 2019. And at the heart of what we do is connections. We connect the world's best restaurants with the world's best diners, right? And we create this community of membership to unlock unmemorable experiences. That's what we do. That's what we believe in. We started by restaurants, for restaurants, and that hasn't changed in our tenure. So I'm very excited to be here.
And hi, I'm Jenny Goodman. I am the co-founder and CEO of Tilit. We make better workwear for chefs and restaurants. And we started really to restore pride to the kitchen uniform. My partner in the business is our creative director, and he was a chef for 20 years. The culinary industry has evolved beyond recognition, but the uniform had not. So we are a fashion-forward brand that really seeks to bring pride and make every chef and every restaurateur feel great in their uniform. And I love that this conversation is all about community, because that's exactly how we started. We started because my partner needed better workwear. We tested it with chefs from the beginning, from day one. So when you're like, how do you collaborate with chefs? I'm like, chefs have just always been a part of our brand from day one. We started by a chef. We will always be part of that community. So really thankful to be here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Albert Sansalvador. I'm the country manager for Estrella Damm for the US and Canada. Well, Estrella Damm is a beer from Barcelona, Spain. It was founded in 1876, and we've been using the same recipe since then. Okay, we brew our beer with 100% natural ingredients, and we are very proud of our origin, Barcelona and the Mediterranean, and that's how we promote our beer and culture all around the world.
And staying with you, Albert, and we'll come back down the line. In what ways have partnerships with culinary professionals helped to enhance the visibility and reputation of your brand?
Yes, I think this is key for us. It's a key pillar to promote the brand and get to know it, right? I think to sum up, there are three things that chefs help us know or bring us in terms of attributes. One would be credibility, the fact of being partnered with not only top chefs like Fernando Adrià or John Roca, but also like local chefs like here in Miami that lead the culinary scene, gives us credibility, in terms of being partnered with these chefs for our brand is a great asset. Second, I would say it's quality. We take very pride also in the quality of our ingredients. We work with local farmers. And also, we know that chefs, the ingredients and what they're using to cook is key for their dishes. And third, I would say is premiumness. When we go with chefs and when we're gonna have dinner at the restaurants. It's always like a good opportunity to have a great experience, either with a date, with our family, with friends. And also for us, it's very important, no, to be in that moment, in that experience, that makes like a lasting experience.
And just staying with you there, because you mentioned that working with the likes of Ferran Adria, who is a god in the culinary world. What was that like? And I know you've got a little video to play as well, so it might be a good time for us to cue that video up. So first, tell us a little bit about what it was like, and then we'll play the video.
Yeah, well, as you said, no, Ferran Adrià, I'm not in the culinary world, so when I went to explain to someone maybe here in the States that they're not into culinary, because with beer many times we speak with people that are not into that culinary world. So I tell them, look, Ferran Adrià would be like Michael Jordan in basketball or Messi in football, right, or soccer. So it's for us it's unique. It's a unique experience, and not only with him but also with his brother and also with Roca brothers. No, as you all know, all these Catalan Spanish chefs, they just change all the culinary world in this 21st century. They've been always, if you look on the top 10 restaurants in the world, you always see like 3-4 restaurants from our country. So for us, being also a beer brewed in Barcelona, using these natural ingredients and going hand in hand with them, for us is very important.
And I know you also work with the Roca brothers, which is like, that's Ronaldo, if we stay on your
easily,
analogy, and David Munoz, which is Salah, if we stay on Liverpool analogies.
Yeah, for us it's natural, no, because it's also a way, as I said, no, in Spain or especially in the Mediterranean arch where we are leading. When you are leading in a market in terms of beer, you have the risk of becoming a mainstream brand, right? So you lose that premiumness. So the fact of partnering with them and also doing activations with them, that allows us also to keep this premiumness, no? Because you're still in the best restaurants, not only in Spain, but also one of the best restaurants of the world, right?
What did you learn from them?
Well, I think I haven't been able to work with them directly. I think hopefully because I wouldn't be able to keep up with the rhythm they have in the kitchens. But I think one thing that, for example, that I've learned from the Roca brothers, especially Joan Roca, is being humble. No, I mean, he's one of the best chefs in the world, and you meet with him, talk to him, and he's like, you wouldn't say that he might be one of these people. Ferran Adrià, Albert Adrià, I think it's creativity, that it's things that you would never imagine they have been able to make possible.
Hemos tomado las medidas necesarias y cuando nos lo han pedido, hemos cerrado.
Dicen que estamos en un momento de transformación total, que nada volverá a ser como era.
Que vienen tiempos difíciles.
Pues bien, nosotros vamos a hacer lo siguiente.
Colaboraremos con los mejores productores.
Trabajaremos de sol a sol.
Seguiremos buscando la excelencia.
Cuidando obsesivamente cada detalle.
Con el máximo nivel de profesionalidad y dedicación.
Investigaremos, innovaremos, crearemos.
Con ilusión, con muchas ganas.
Y haciendo siempre autocrítica.
Siendo inconformistas.
Y con humildad. Es decir, seguiremos trabajando exactamente igual, como lo hemos hecho siempre.
Seguiremos haciendo lo mismo que nos convirtió en la gastronomía más respetada del mundo.
Y así podremos seguir recibiéndote en nuestra casa.
Con tus amigos.
Con tus compañeros de trabajo.
Con tu familia.
Para compartir, para disfrutar, para descubrir.
Para que flipes.
Para cuidar el bienestar de tu cuerpo.
Y de tu alma.
Y no podríamos hacerlo de otra forma. Porque esto no es solo nuestro medio de vida.
Es nuestra manera de vivir.
Yes, all these chefs that you see in the commercial are Michelin star chefs from Spain, right? And it was in the middle of the pandemic, and it was our way. It came from our marketing team in Spain, and it was a way of showing support to them and just giving the message. There are a lot of messages in this commercial, but one of those, like, okay, we'll keep supporting you guys. And also, I think the message that they are giving is then, well, in the end, they were business owners that they were doing great. They were doing a great job. and all of a sudden something out of your control that you cannot, you have to shut down your business, right? And you're not able to do something else because it's, we know all what happened. So I think they're also saying a very powerful message to everyone, not only for the people. Okay, I mean, we fell down, we're gonna stand up and we're gonna try it again and do it as we're doing it before, right? And that's what they're doing now.
And Jenny, coming to you, let's go. I'll go back to the question again because we jumped a few questions ahead. In what ways have partnerships with culinary professionals helped to enhance the visibility and reputation of your brand?
Yeah, so I mean, from the beginning, we've always centered culinary professionals in all of our campaigns. We always use chefs in every single one of our photo shoots. Everybody on our website is a professional chef. And I think it lends credibility to the brand. It opens you to new markets. It highlights folks that maybe are somewhat underserved or you haven't necessarily seen before. And the beautiful things about chefs is that they love to share. So when you highlight one of their colleagues, one of their community, or part of our community, I mean, we see our brand as an extension of the hospitality community and world, then it gets shared. And that just helps to highlight that you're shining that spotlight on those individuals.
And I know you do a lot of collaborations. Can we speak about some examples of some of the collaborations you do at Tilit? But more than that, how the learnings of those collaborations impact development of products?
Yeah, we do a ton of collaborations, and it always helps to iterate on product. So for example, Sola El Wali is an amazing chef. She was at Bon Appetit for a long time. She's now the chef in resident at New York Times. She has a best-selling cookbook in the New York Times. And she was before a restaurant chef and we had outfitted her restaurant. And she came to me and she's like, Jenny, I need a crossback because I'm pregnant and I need a smock apron because it's all I wear. It's all I'm comfortable in. Can we do that? So we took 9.5 months and perfected it over 6 samples. And then we finally launched it in tandem with her book this past October, sold out within, I think, about 2 weeks in tandem with her book. So definitely, we always take product feedback. Women's chef shirts is another example that we just launched.
Sorry, what?
A women's chef shirt.
Women's chef shirt.
Yeah, so we're really focused right now. A lot of the product innovation we're working on right now is for women specifically because we all know that we've been left out. And so we make up a big part of the culinary industry, but have historically had to wear men's coats. So we worked with Chef Paula Velez to perfect that style and launch that. Again, I think it was a year and maybe probably 14 months to get that product to market. So always.
And does that start with sitting down with that community? Do you focus group them? How do you decide the needs for a new product like that?
Yeah, so we're really big into wear testing. Right? I was saying to Chef Lucci, I was like, Lucci, I got to send you a pair of women's pants because we're testing women's pants right now. And so what we'll do is we'll produce like 30 pairs. We'll send them out to some of our, 30 garments. We'll send them out to some of our people in the community who have been supporting us from day one. We do surveys, we'll do calls, we'll do events. So again, it's like, we take the feedback. We really want our brand to be a community-centered brand.
Listening, learning, and
learn.
Reacting.
Yeah.
Pablo, coming to you with the same question that everyone's had. In what ways have partnerships with culinary professionals helped to enhance the visibility and reputation of Resy?
Well, Resy wouldn't exist without the restaurants, right? We could have the platform, and what good is a platform is nobody's connected to it, right? So for us, connection is key. And as I said earlier, we're for restaurants by restaurants. And the restaurants that are on Resy, they're not just our customers. We refer to them as restaurant partners because that's what they are to us. And we take that very seriously. We get to understand what drives them, what's important to them, how can we find collaborations that makes them successful? Because if the restaurant succeeds, then Resy succeeds, right? That's how we looked at everything. And the best thing for me is when I sit down with a partner and they share with me how passionate they are about Resy, but that's intentional, right? Well, everybody that works at Resy comes from the industry, has worked in the industry, and really takes it with a lot of heart to make a difference for the industry and trying to support different ideas. I see Ronnie on the audience, and which is fantastic partners, and Chetan as well, on Apologetic Foods. And there's so many others that have come to us. We said like, hey, I have this passion project. let's think about a way that we can do it together, right? And so, for example, we're supporting Unapologetic Foods on a tour across the United States in 3 different cities because it's important for us to support the culinary world outside of the cities that are in, right? It makes it more democratic, bringing a little bit of what you guys were talking about earlier, which is democratizing high-end food, right, for everyone. And we want to take the great creativity that our partners have around the country. So that's some of the stuff that we do, but it's because they are our partners. Everything that we do is because of them. Without them, Resy wouldn't be Resy.
And do you have examples a bit like Jenny does, where that community is impacting the functionality of Resy, for example, or the features of Resy?
Well, that's what we do, again, every day. Our product roadmap takes into account, how many features our restaurant partners are asking for, right? So we talk to them regularly and we spend time with them to understand how is the product working, how is it meeting their needs or not. And then we stack rank how many times the features has been requested. And that's how prioritize our roadmap. Last year, we expanded our engineering capacity by 40% because we couldn't get to the features fast enough. And we take that extremely seriously. And so we're making a big difference this year in that to deliver for the customers. And that's just on the restaurant side. Same thing on consumers. We have millions of consumers, right? And we talk to them, whether that's on the street when they know that I'm the CEO of Resy, they're very passionate about what they would like to do, or on social. So we take that very seriously. And that's what informs our product roadmap on everything that we do.
And you're in a unique position there because there's 2 communities with Resy in the center. How do you balance that and keep them both happy? And because I'm sure some features that the consumer stopping you on the street is demanding is the feature that might upset the chefs, and vice versa. The stuff that the chefs want is the stuff that might upset the consumers.
Yeah. I don't want to say that the consumer is second, but in reality, what we try to do is what's most important for the restaurant first. Because if I don't have the restaurant, I don't have the consumer, right? It doesn't do me every good if I cannot meet the needs of all of my restaurant partners. They will walk away, right? And then the consumer is left with no restaurants to have dinner at, right? So restaurants come first. How do we partner with them to power the business, to help them grow, right? And then how do we showcase their stories to the consumers, right? So we take that every single day to heart. We have an editorial arm, for example, right? And our idea is to help the restaurants tell their stories, inspire the consumer to try different restaurants, give a chance to the different culinary communities that we have around the country. And so if you do what's right for the restaurants, the consumers will follow.
And we spoke a little bit about this last night. I come from an editorial background. I think you guys do a great job there on the editorial side.
Thank you. We have so for those you guys who don't know, we have our Resy blog. It's been an award-winning blog. It features and it operates as a newspaper, as an editorial. We have a director of editorial that, we don't have a marketing review to take a look at what stories are we going to push this month that I want to put in a newsletter. No, it's new restaurants are opening, new features are opening. How is the city changing from a culinary perspective? How do we highlight new ingredients and new dishes that new chef and upcoming chef are bringing to life? And we take that to heart with a passion, and we try to be extremely focused on developing trust. You talked a little bit about that, right? We need people to trust that the voice is objective. Resy, in that specific case, comes second. What comes first is being able to tell the stories of the restaurants.
And that seems quite obvious, but having ran an editorial website backed by large brands, it's not so easy in big corporations to explain why the editorial arm is independent from the business side of the company.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's always an interconnection, right? It's always it's a channel that we always try to leverage for our restaurants to do it. But at the end of the day, the objective is for the restaurants to tell the story, right? So yeah, it can be featured in my marketing emails and so on, but if it's not meeting the objectives of the restaurant, if it's not highlighting what the restaurant wants to tell, then we don't consider it for the blog.
And I have a question I'm going to give to you all, and we'll start this side and go that way. Before we do that, though, I want you to start thinking as well about... No, we start with you.
Sorry.
I'd like you to also start thinking... I think it's always interesting when you get people at the top of these big companies. I want to hear you ask each other a question. So have a think about a question you'd like to ask to one of the other guests on stage, because I think it's always interesting to see the questions that come up when those opportunities arrive. But before that, what advice would you give to brands that are considering collaborating with the culinary community and building a culinary community? How do you do that correctly? How do you do that authentically?
I think the first thing is that you have to take your time, right? You have to take your time to get to understand what is important to the community, right? At the end of the day, these are people, they are businesses, right? They're busy people. We're talking about Chef Antonio working, 18 hours a day. Like reservations or reservation platforms is not the only thing in their mind, right? And I cannot assume that they're going to give me 3 hours away and I'm going to sign this partnership. So you got to take the time.
And I think people don't realize how many knocks on the door are happening, how many guys are coming with a suitcase. I want you to taste this new natural wine. Can you partner with this? Can you speak at this food marketing event that we've got coming up in Miami in 6 months? Like they're constantly bombarded with these requests.
Think about the supply chain that a restaurant has to go through. How many people get bombarded with the vegetables, and then there's a guy that sells the oil, then there's a guys, people are looking for a job, aprons, all the women. I mean, there's so much, right? So you have to take the time. And second, when you take the time, you listen and you learn what's important to them, right? Because I could put together a list of investments that I want to push forward to a restaurant partner, but if it's not meeting any of their objectives, then what's the point? It's not going to resonate. So be patient. You gotta be patient and develop relationships. Again, at the end of the day, Resy is about connections, and we need to establish that connection with the restaurant partners.
And I think the listen and learn theme is coming out. Jenny mentioned it as well. Maybe you don't because I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but do you have examples where that listening and learning has impacted the way you run Resy?
Yeah. So again, I talk about the product features and all of that, but one example I can think about is we're also part of American Express, right? So which is interesting to operate within, right? We try to be independent. We're also part of American Express, but at the end of the day, as I say back, let's go back to the restaurant point. So an example of that has been, we have a long-standing partnership with Missy from Missy Pasta, in New York, and Missy has always had a passion to go into more mainstream, to bake her sauces and her products, more affordable and available to people, right? Similar to the story we're talking about the first chef, and she didn't have the time to really do that and think through that. Who I go to, where do I find the capital, and so on. And so on the American Express side, we have a commercial arm, right? We have a small business arm with millions of customers on the commercial car side. And so we put that into together, right? So we put significant capital for Missy to then produce the sauce that we could give to our customers on the commercial side. And now with that capital and that infusion that she started with, now she launched her brand, right? So every single time that I'm talking to my team is about connections. Let's make this about membership. How do we create a community for our restaurants and leverage the rest of that membership model, whether that's the consumer, whether that's the car member and the restaurant partners, to create something special.
That's really interesting. I didn't know that you were doing that type of work in the background. And is that, so you put some funds down, almost like a venture capitalist. Do you own some of that company?
We don't own it, right? We support the initiative, right? In the same way that we support different brands that want to go into different cities, do certain pop-ups. Hey, I want to be exposed to Philadelphia. We look at it in the same way, right? So it's not that we're taking an ownership in the business, but we're supporting the initiative that they have through marketing funds.
You became almost an incubator for that idea in a way.
You said it, I didn't, so.
Is incubator a dirty word now?
It's not, but I don't want to take credit because at the end of the day, it's their ideas, right? And all we're doing is connecting them to our membership community.
I think that's fascinating and probably a line of what Resy are doing with the community that not many people know about. And it's also interesting that you didn't shout that to the rafters. You didn't advertise it. You didn't make it a big thing. Even now, you're trying to humble brag it.
Well, because at the end of the day, that might not resonate with everyone, right? Like I gotta understand the partner's objective. That might not be the same objective for every single chef that we work with, right? The same thing goes for events. For example, we did and sponsored 200 events last year on Resy, but we ticketed 1,000 more, right? And that has nothing to do with us. That was the chef. And we just want to empower them to diversify their revenue, to connect with more people, and to expand their community.
Are there any other chefs you're working like that with at the moment?
We have a ton. Ronnie is one of them. We have a long-standing partnership with Michael Solomov. We have Missy, which we're doing Governor's Island again this year. So it's endless. We have thousands of restaurants on the platform.
Fascinating. Jenny, coming to you with the same question that we started there with Pablo. So what advice would you give to other brands that are considering collaborating with culinary professionals?
Yeah, so definitely authenticity is key. And for us, we don't look for the biggest chef right now. We look for the most authentic to our brand and to our customer base.
How do you assess that type of thing?
They need to be customers first, to be honest. So like we look for people who are already champions, and then it's organic, because when you're just going after somebody because they have a big name and that's what you think your audience wants, consumers can smell bullshit, for lack of a better word. And it doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't feel good to the brand. It doesn't feel good to the consumer. It doesn't feel good to the collaborator. So for us, it's always, do we already work together? Do we like each other? And we like everybody? So that's always a yes. But but truly, like, it's like, will you resonate with our audience, with our community, and vice versa? And so that's where we always start. We've also collaborated with Missy Robbins. She was literally one of my first customers ever and is a very dear friend. And she authentically bought the women's jumpsuit. I hand delivered it to her apartment because at the time she was my neighbor, and she was like, "Bring me a jumpsuit." I was like, "Fine, Missy." And she couldn't take it off. She was like, "I want one for every day of the week." And then we did a long sleeve version with her, and in 4 colors. And we're talking about doing another one. So again, it's like these authentic connections that, like, she was already a friend and a customer. She already loved the product. Then how can we push that a little bit further to put her spin on it and really, open up to a new community and audience?
And how important has this community been in the growth of Tilit?
Huge. I mean, we do several chef or other brand collaborations every year. We probably do about 1 or 2 a quarter. And so, like, we actually had a viral product during the holiday season with Cambro. Everybody who works in food service knows Cambro.
Of course.
So we, again, it's like the authenticity. So Alex, my partner in the business, was a chef for 20 years. He's also a distance runner. And he was coming home from his long training runs, drinking out of a deli container, putting his Gatorade in a deli container. And I'm like, "What is wrong with you? You haven't been a working chef for like 15 years since we've had this company. Like, why are you still drinking out of a deli?" He's like, "I don't know. There's no other better hydration station." So I was like,
"Look." It also becomes a speaker, no?
Yeah, it's a speaker. Love my people at Cambro. Not the deli so much. So we were like, there has to be a better way for chefs. We have to do like a surprise and delight moment. So I got on the phone to the Cambro marketing team and I was like, "Hey, what if we made a Cam cup with a lid and a straw and marketed that to chefs with some like super fun sayings and all these fun things as like a surprise and delight moment right before the holidays?" So that's what we did. We made our Cam cup. It has, there's like cheeky sayings on it. It's like pre-shift is at the very top and then 86 is at the bottom. And we sold out within 6 hours of launch. 5,000 units like that, because again, it was authentic to the community. Chefs drink out of delis. It was funny. There was these things. So yeah, authenticity.
And you used a term there that I've never heard before. Maybe it's a well-known marketing term that I'm not part of. Surprise and delight moment.
Yeah.
Explain that to us a little bit.
Yeah. So like, we're a clothing brand. Why the hell are we selling cups? Right? That's a surprise and delight. So for us, it's like, how can we do something authentic to our community that they'll know is fun and know that we're also industry folks and we got your back. And that also, this surprise and delight moment is actually preview has led to other collaborations. So sorry, but we're collaborating with Miller High Life. We can do one with you next. This is how it works.
Please, I know you owe me one. Eh?
I'm sorry. And that collab is dropping in like about a month. And again, there'll be some like very cheeky chef only sort of inside jokes that have nothing to do with workwear, but have to do with that sort of industry insider know-how that comes from myself and my husband working in restaurants for decades before this.
But Albert, coming to you, same question that these have just answered. What advice would you give to brands that are considering collaborating with culinary professionals for the first time?
Yes, I mean, from our experience, what we try to do, and I think it can work for many brands. We always try when make partnerships with chefs is trying to add value to to their business, what they're offering, and it can have like different ways, and also we've been learning as we've been starting to work with chefs, right? I mean, one of our main programs has been changing the name, but the last name it had was actually nowadays is Estrella Damm Culinary Journey, which is a restaurant month-long event, like a restaurant week, something like that, lasts for 1 month. And then we have a bunch of restaurants that they have offer a menu paired with Estrella Damm. And then during that period of time, we promote the event in social media, also like at the restaurant itself. We do like giveaway promotions, etc., etc. No, and that's a way of promoting those partners of ours. But also we've done some other things that, you know, sometimes just sitting with them and do brainstorming, no, and say, okay, what is what you want, what is what you need, we can offer this, and sometimes we start a conversation and we don't know how we're going to collaborate, and after half an hour, 1 hour of speaking with them, we come up with ideas.
Do you have examples of, because we seem to listen and learning and then reacting to what you learn is evidently a theme for all three of you.
Yes, I mean, it can be, I don't know, like, for example, if do a chef collaboration, no? Putting together two chefs that they didn't know each other, and then doing that collaboration. Other can be, okay, also we've come up with, you know, in the beer business, no? Usually the happy hour is just beer discounted price. So we started working with some restaurants and offer happy hour food and beer pair, no, like a special, like where you can offer like 2 or 3 like tapa style dishes and with 1 or 2 beers, and promote it through, you know, not only at the restaurant but also through the social media. No? This kind of, so looking to, in this case, to bring people to the restaurant when there's like less traffic, no, trying, because when restaurants are full weekends, I mean, there's being honestly, I mean, there's not much add value we can bring, no, already when you have people willing to, you know, to spend time there. But when, you know, other days or times, or like low season in Miami in the summer, no, that the city is empty, then is when maybe we can add some more value to that.
And coming to you, Jenny, and that's you to ask a question to one of these two wonderful gentlemen.
So I'm actually curious, since you're an international brand, how do you determine how to collaborate with folks in different regions, and what does that look like, you know, for your US market versus your European market?
Good question.
Takes the pressure off me as well.
Yeah. Well, how we choose the partners, usually, of course, we need to look that it's on brand, and for us, a partner or a chef that is on brand is when it's either they offer a high quality, a high end product or service. They're in an area where we're focusing, that for us is like key strategic, and then when it makes sense for us. Right? For example, this country is huge, of course, and we have distribution in almost all states. But our strategies, marketing, also activations, I would say 90% concentrate between Miami and LA. Okay. And then once we've been able to conquer those markets, we'll go to a third one, most likely, right? But that's how we choose our partners.
You can get your own back now, or you can throw a question to Pablo.
Yes, why Miller Lite, Jenny? No, sorry. Just kidding. No. That's okay. No, for Pablo. What does it make a restaurant to choose like a booking platform? What is important for restaurants or for chefs?
That's a very good question. We have some chefs here that have chosen it. I think, you know, at the end of the day, as we talked about, they're busy, right? So the product has to be easy to use, right? It has to solve a problem, right? Like, it doesn't matter if you have a bunch of tools and whistles on it, but if it's not solving an operational problem, that doesn't matter. And also, you know, the partnership that you have with the brand, right? Like, are they going to support? Are they going to listen? Are they going to help you set it up, right? That's important to the partners. And then, you know, what type of consumers are you having on the platform as well? Like, what is my reach? How are you going to give me an opportunity to connect with those diners that haven't discovered me? How do we make that happen? So that's why we constantly talk to new partners about, like, we can bring to the table.
Before I give you a chance to answer the question as well, I've always been interested in the type of analytics you provide to a restaurant, because I see it from the consumer side, and knowing that you're a tech-facing company, that you're developing software at the end of the day, how much information are you giving to restaurants about consumers, about bookings, about times when maybe they need to do a deal because we've noticed that this is where you drop off? I'm quite interested in that.
Yeah, so we're always constantly listening to partners on that. We have a number of not basic, foundational analytical tools that come with the platform. We also have a team that focuses on developing new reporting functionality depending on what the partner is looking for. So we call that customizable reporting, right? So depending what it was, whether that's the covers, trends, things like that. The guest book is owned by the restaurant, right? So they can export that into different tools as well. And we're also trying to connect more into the POS system, right? Point of sales to make that user journey flow for the restaurant.
Seamless.
Yeah, a little bit more seamless. But at the end of the day, the guest book is owned by the restaurant. So we're able to provide different cuts of that data to them to better run their business.
Interesting. And your chance to fire a question to these two.
It's going to work well because I'm going to go with Jenny. Jenny, you have grown tremendously, right? And kudos to you and the team. You had thousands of partners. You were telling me earlier. How do you think about managing scale, right? At the same time, maintaining that close relationship with every single customer?
I think it goes to hiring the right team. So like you were saying, a lot of the Resy team members have worked in restaurants. Pretty much every person on my team has worked in restaurants. Like I was saying, we really consider ourselves a hospitality brand. So I've really invested in having account managers who are there to be the partners to those restaurants. We have super robust email flows and marketing to make sure we're always in touch with our customers and can offer that best personalized service. So I think what we're doing is very scalable. And I think it starts with people. We're not in business, we're in the people business. And that really is how we hold true.
Best questions. I wish all conversations just flowed like that.
Fully not prepped. You just threw that on the stage.
Yeah.
No, that was
not in the panel brief. Not in the panel brief.
That wasn't planned.
Keep you on edge. Speaking of good questions, we're coming to you soon. So as we said, we want active participation. Get ready. Before we do that, I have one last question I'd like to ask to each of you. We'll start at the end and work our way in on this one. What's the future of brand, chef, restaurant partnerships? How do you see it developing? Where's it going?
I don't know. No, I guess a consumer, what we see, because in the end we need to think of the consumer, just for the future. I see that consumer people were looking for more for experiences and trying to offer those new experiences which offer new things, new sensations. Maybe that looks like the future, to have more senses involved into that experience.
Interesting. And for you, Jenny?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I think what we realized coming out of the pandemic that people are hungry for an IRL experience and for brands to show up in that experience.
Just to let everyone know, that means in
real life. Sorry. Yeah, I'm in
my TikTok chat.
Yes, I have a 7-year-old daughter who now abbreviates all the things. So here we are. So I think what we've learned is you can be a brand, but you can't just be a brand online. You have to, especially in the hospitality community, it's again, being authentic. So for us, what it looks like is collaborating with folks in real life, whether that's showing up to events like this, sponsoring events like the Chef's Conference or whatever these smaller events are, and showing up to the places that matter to the hospitality community authentically, how it's true to our brand, and then how it's true to support those folks.
Great answer.
Well, it's in similar vein, in a world that is full of technology, this is me working in a technology company. How do you not forget about the fact that at the end of the day, it's about hospitality connections, right? So being authentic into that and putting that into the center of gravity, and guide every single decision to whether that's experiences, whether that's connecting with the right people. Not letting technology automate everything, because in hospitality you can't. So sticking to that of developing those relationships and connections is what's going to power the future, I think.
And going against that a little bit, the human side, I'm interested in AI. Seems to be the boom that we're all using it now for different things. Are you utilizing AI at Resy yet? Is it something that's in the plan, something you're already using?
It's something that we talked about and work with every single day, right? How do we leverage AI to, whether that's to power the dining rooms and optimize them in a better way, right? So thinking about different pilots, how do we leverage models like that for recommendations, right? Like if I know that you like this restaurant, maybe you like that. And let's be honest, that's not game changer. It has been around for a long time.
Amazon.
Yeah, but it makes the technology today just makes it a lot easier to be plugged in, right? And the same thing with American Express, right? We're considering a number of things from a concierge perspective, mostly on the recommendation side and the data analytics side for restaurants that we're playing with.
And I know that a big thing in the web is this idea of personalization, that you opening a homepage and me opening a homepage looks completely different. Do you see that coming in the future for Resy, that you know so much about me that you know this guy never eats fried chicken. In fact, we think he's allergic to chicken. We're not going to put chicken up on his page, whereas the next person loves chicken, so sees 4 chicken places.
It's a balance, right? Because then it can be like, okay, Big Brother's watching, right? And you don't want to get there either, but you want to be able to provide the option, right? You want to be able to tailor the content, right? Based on the options that you had given us, right? So yeah, we really think about personalization because experiences are unique. And I mean, even one restaurant is different if you go with your partner and the next day you go with a business friend. Like the experience that you're gonna have is different. So don't leverage just the data, right? Like just give the option to the consumer to give you the information and do the best that you can with that.
I hope that doesn't happen for Resy because it's such a discovery platform also. So you might not like chicken at one place, but you could like it at another place that maybe is gluten-free. And
that's the argument against this personalization is that you end up in a bubble that's designed just for you and nothing surprises you anymore. It's happening with information on Google as well.
Right. So you got to give the option. You have to give them the option.
And you guys, any steps into the world of AI? I know less applicable to your brands compared to
yeah, in terms of sales, less applicable. I know that the company, they're doing some things more like operation side, like in a production side or logistics. But it's not my field, so don't ask me for examples because I don't know.
And Jenny, unless you have anything to add, we'll open it up to the room.
Yeah, we can open it up.
Okay. So guys, pressure's on you now. Nadal, look at that. We've got the founder of the event throwing us a question.
Thanks again for the great panel. I'm going to take one of Ryan's question and tweak it. Ryan asked you, what do you advise brands who want to partner with chefs and restaurants? I want to take that question because long-term relationships, they need to be win-win. They need to be sustainable from your perspective too. So what do you advise chefs and restaurants, and I know we have many here in the room, what do you advise them to be a potential partner for you brands in your specific fields?
Nice.
Like, what do you look for?
For us, is authenticity, right? Like, do we have the same values? Are we, do we believe in the same things, right? And that takes time to understand. So that's the first thing. And then second, understand that sometimes we're going to take our time, right? Like the number of times that a restaurant partner comes and tell us, I just need, I need social media marketing. And we're like, do you have a team to help you run that? Like, what's your audience? Like, what's the problem that you're trying to face? Because I can put a Twitter, or a tweet or an X or a Facebook ad on you, but that's not going to help you. Is that helping you going to drive covers? Do you have a problem on Sunday? Do you have a problem on Tuesday? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? So I think at the same time, we ask the partners, like, we could be a little bit lower from what you want to do, but it's because we really want to understand how can we help you best versus just throwing spaghetti at the wall.
Yeah, I think that we try to be very intentional. So if we get inbounded a lot with like, I love your products, can we do an apron collab? And I'm like, well, really, like there's a lot of ways to do a collaboration. So what really makes sense for what you're trying to do as your personal brand and what we want to do as our brand, and how can we have those things synergistically line up that makes sense for both of our joint audiences. And sometimes that can take a lot of different formats. So sometimes you'll have an idea and it'll pivot. And I think just being flexible and saying like, okay, what are my goals? What's the brand's goals? And how can we align those things to the best of both of our audiences?
And then I would also say that I would say they choose a brand that fits with also what they are looking for, what they're offering, what their proposal. Not just, and I want to give examples, not just by extending a check means that that brand is a good fit for what they're offering. Now, sometimes I understand that that check might be very useful, but in the long run, maybe just partnering with brands that make sense, no, and make like a whole idea resonates. It can help.
And there was one more question behind. I think that's Anna's hand I see.
I'm going to stay seated. Thank you guys all so much. This has been super interesting. I just wanted to, again, in the sense of community, I know we all know and realize the value of influencers. I'm wondering how you guys incorporate influencers into these communities that you guys are building and what's been successful for your brands.
Yes, we've been working more and more with influencers, especially like in strategic markets like Miami. And here with us, there's Marianne from our Miami team there, that she's been leading all the influencers activations that we've been doing, right? And we've collaborated, especially in our site with foodies. So we help restaurants to promote either if it's their new opening or if they're doing an event, or we do partnerships with food pairing and beer pairing. Always trying, for our partners to be able to keep growing and being more and their brand awareness. We even also, and again, I mentioned Marianne, we even created our kind of influencer account where we were able to also promote ourselves, the restaurants. We had some, from a headquarters perspective, some like very strict guidelines on marketing. And until this year, we were not able to open our local US Instagram account. So in order for us to post local content and promote those local partners, we create this kind of influencer. But if you look at that account, it's all about Estrella Damm, right? But it was our way of doing that. And if you want to follow the account, I mean, it's just for learning. It's the perfect pair Miami. The perfect per Miami, and you'll see what we do in that account.
Thank you, Jenny.
So we work with influencers in a lot of different ways, from product collaboration, where we come up with a co-branded product, like I was describing with Sola, and we do like a royalty. And a lot of times that's been really effective for us. So, when we come up with a joint product, there's a lot of product development costs that come into our end, but we're happy to front all those. And then as the product sells, the influencers get royalties, which is one way we've done collaborations in the past that's been really successful and really fun. And another way, like I think I earlier mentioned, we pretty much always use real chefs, and we do always use actual working chefs in all of our campaigns and a lot of our social media. Those are always paid engagements. We're very intentional about it. And for that, I really prefer to use micro influencers, or even really nano influencers, like folks with less than 10,000 followers. Again, people who have already been part of the brand in some way, either a customer or just a fan. Because I found that is the most authentic way to leverage an influencer. And those are actually my favorite ways to work with influencers. And we've seen that be really, really effective for getting the word out.
And the final word for you, Pablo.
So I think, on the restaurant side, we have the best influencers in the world, which is the best restaurants in the world. Like they carry the name of Resy, and they're our restaurant partners. On the consumer side, extremely like what Jenny is saying. We are very intentional about influencers because we really try to be authentic to what we believe. So we look at small opportunities to leverage those, because at the end of the day, they are speaking on behalf of your brand. And you have to be very thoughtful about who you bring into that conversation. So we leverage it, but in a very intentional way.